Got a problem with your employer? Are working conditions the worst? Are you fighting for a better wage, maybe? Well, one of the federal agencies that protects your working rights has effectively been shut down by the Trump administration. And what makes this particularly interesting is both Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, who of course are big Trump donors, have had real problems with this specific agency over the years. Now, this is one of those stories that no one's really talking about because in the big picture of what's going on, it might not seem like such a big deal. But if you're one of those employees, it most certainly is a big deal. And if you've been paying attention to the battles between employees and big companies like SpaceX and Amazon, this may be interesting to you too. So before I tell you all about this agency and what's going on and what it will mean for you, I want to thank my Facts HQ paid subscribers for voting for this story as the bonus this week. If you want to vote on next week's bonus story, make sure you become a paid subscriber. It's super easy and there are a bunch of other perks and exclusive content that only you get to see. Now, if you don't want to be a paid subscriber, that's cool too, but I highly encourage you to sign up for my free Facts HQ email. I send that out every single night. It's a very helpful resource. Okay, so what's going on? Well, this story is all about the independent agency called the National Labor Relations Board. This board was established by Congress in a 1935 law during the Great Depression to safeguard employee rights and collective bargaining. The NLRB enforces the National Labor Relations Act, which is a federal law, also from 1935, that guarantees private sector employees the right to organize into unions, engage in collective bargaining, and take collective action to strike. The law also prohibits employers from interfering with, restraining, or coercing employees not to exercise their federally protected right to organize and bargain collectively. So yes, this board is really involved in union activity, but it's also involved in employee rights, even if you're not in a union. Under the National Labor Relations Act, the National Labor Relations Board is also responsible for protecting the rights of non-union employees to band together with their co-workers for their own mutual aid to improve their working conditions. The law even protects singular employees from being retaliated against for bringing worker complaints about working conditions to their employer's attention. The National Labor Relations Board is just that, a board of 5 people. Those 5 people are appointed to their positions by the president and confirmed by the Senate to serve a 5-year term. The board acts almost like a panel of judges, and they hear these cases brought by employees against their employers over union formation, working conditions, and other issues related to that National Labor Relations Act. And it's up to the board to make decisions through a vote. Well, as of last week, President Trump fired one of those board members. And because there are already 2 vacancies, now there aren't enough board members to reach a quorum. Therefore, the remaining 2 board members can't vote on anything. The board is essentially now paralyzed. Of course, that recently fired board member is now suing the Trump administration, saying she still has 3 years left on her term, and the president overstepped his authority. He can't fire her. That sounds very familiar to some other lawsuits we've been seeing recently, and it's a totally separate part of this story. We're going to save that for another time because I really want to keep focused on why this is happening and what it will mean for you. So you have to understand the Trump administration didn't just fire that one board member of the National Labor Relations Board. They also ordered the acting general counsel for the agency to rescind more than 30 different NLRB policies put in place during the Biden administration. They rescinded guidance that protected workers from employers' workplace surveillance efforts and AI technologies that may interfere with workers' ability to exercise their rights. The Trump administration also rescinded a National Labor Relations Board policy that told employers that they may be violating the law if they make employees sign overly broad non-compete contracts. And they rescinded an NLRB policy that said certain NCAA athletes should be considered employees under the law, just to name a few of the 30. So why is this happening? Well, here's the thing. These firings are not just happening at the National Labor Relations Board, they're also happening at the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, another independent agency, again established via law, to protect workers from discrimination based on their race, gender, disability, age, national origin, or sex. Trump recently fired 2 Democrat-appointed commissioners of that organization who were both confirmed by the Senate, leaving 1 Republican commissioner and only 1 Democrat commissioner and 3 vacancies that Trump can now fill. These are some of the agencies, by the way, that are supposed to be enforcing the labor laws that Congress passed to protect you while you're on the job. And right now, these independent agencies are either paralyzed or they're being completely restructured to reflect Trump's policies and priorities to make them more employer-friendly. But what's particularly interesting about Trump's move to paralyze the National Labor Relations Board is the fact that Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, both very big Trump supporters who donated millions of dollars to his campaign and inauguration, have a stake in all of this. They both have a history of being found in violation of labor laws by the NLRB for violating employees' rights to collective bargain and retaliation against employees. And because Musk and Bezos obviously didn't like those findings, through their companies, SpaceX and Amazon, they're currently part of a massive lawsuit with other companies against the National Labor Relations Board, arguing that the board itself is unconstitutional and the structure of the agency violates the separation of powers. Musk and Bezos say the board has been overly aggressive towards them and has treated them unfairly. Separately, Jeff Bezos, through both of his companies, Amazon and Whole Foods, are right now in a dispute with employees over their desire to join a union. But because the National Labor Relations Board can't vote on anything, those employees can't move forward either. And once Trump installs his picks on the board, the outcome for these employees may look very different than it would have just a few months ago.